Hello and welcome to another edition of the One Team We Agree On. I'm Jillian.
I'm Kyle. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay.
That's good. I'm excited. Uh, you get another 3 points at home on opening home weekend.
Yeah,
So
big game.
yeah, big game, and we got a big guest today. We have the capo of Bridge Brigade, Kyle Wood, back on the show again for the second time. Kyle, how you doing today?
I I'm a little ill, but we're
Yeah.
powering through it. I'm
Good.
excited for tomorrow. I can't wait to get to Boston.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Dealing with something myself, so we're gonna power through this. But yeah, I'm excited for you guys and the rest of Bridge Brigade and Sons of Ben getting up there. It's gonna be a fun time. I'm sure you're excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited for the U2 season to get started. I think that's really, like the first team, it is what it is at this point, you know what I mean? But
hmm
I'm just excited to be finally back into normalcy, I guess.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I am looking forward to that as well. And after, being on the press conference with Ryan Richter today, and we'll discuss all that. But it was, good to hear everything he had to say and, where the team's at and all of that. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. Plan to be at the home opener. I'll be there, so I'm looking forward to that. But definitely jealous that you're able to go up to New England. I would love to be able to go to that, but too much going on here on our end.
No worries. But on today's show, we're gonna talk about a very fun home opener for the Union
hmm
on Saturday night, and of course, with Kyle on, we're gonna talk some Union too. So before we get started, what we're wearing today?
All right. Well, I thought I would break out one I haven't done in a while, but this is one of my favorite jerseys. This is the parlay jersey from the Union from 2023.
Yep.
Yeah, so infamously, Mikel had a hat trick. I'm going with the hat trick theme since we just had another one.
Yeah.
No, so yeah, that's why I went with this.
Kyle, what are you wearing?
Wearing my new pride and joy. I got a U2 shirt, and it's actually what's it called? I got my name on it too.
Oh, nice.
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 Kyle the baby on
Yeah,
it. I love it. Love it. Love
it
it.
Jealous.
came
Yeah.
through with a nice Christmas present. But so the funny story, they originally mailed me one, but
Mhm.
it got lost. So there's somebody in the world somewhere that has a Union 2 shirt with my name on it. That
It has
isn't me.
it
Mhm.
has no idea how they got this jersey.
It's
Man,
like I don't know if you've seen it. It's like, oh, if I had a dollar for every time, like in this case, it'd be like, oh, if I had a dollar for every time Kyle the Baby's name is there's a U2 shirt with Kyle the Baby's names on it, I'd have $2. It's not a lot, but it's just weird that it's happened twice. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like it's kind of like that, but yeah, so what's it called? No, they hand delivered this one to me on Saturday.
Nice.
Oh,
So
that's awesome. No, that looks pretty sweet. And of course, the fan base continues to clamor for those jerseys to be sold. Um, I saw Colorado Rapids too, or they posted, I think, just today that they're selling theirs, and there's some others too. So,
Austin FC dropped theirs, and the comments below are, "Why are you not selling these kits? Why are we not selling these kits?" So, hey,
hmm
again, folks, it's up to the club's decision on what they want to do with these. So,
All I know is, yeah, at Help Kick Hunger, I know the U2 jersey that was on auction went for over $300. So, yeah,
yeah,
I
you
thought
might.
that
I
was
had.
pretty crazy.
hmm
Like it was a bidding war for that shirt. And then there was like the
hmm
first team signed shirt. It was like someone got it for like $100.
Yeah,
Right.
I definitely had nothing to do with that bidding war.
No comment on that.
Oh,
Anyway, yeah,
by the way,
Kyle's laughing at
by
that.
the way, I got a comment.
Oh,
I love all your Flyers stuff in the background there.
thank you,
Too
thank
bad
you.
they kind of like were not so great this week. They played Kyle's Flames. Kyle's a Flames fan, although he didn't even watch it, but of course earlier this week they
They
managed
also
to get.
beat Timberwolves beat
Yeah,
76ers.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, I just want the Sixers to punt on the season. Who
Yeah.
cares about that at this point? But
Anyway,
speaking of Kyle, what are you wearing?
I'm wearing my Philadelphia Raccoon shirt.
Mm-hmm.
I always bust this one out. I like this.
You
I
do.
like this.
Yes, that's a
It's
good one.
like this and the dupe shirt, like my two
Mm-hmm.
favorite shirts. But I like this one just because the raccoon's like, yay.
So actually, I was actually catching up on Abbott Elementary last night, and it was like the first episode of like since the little break they did for Christmas,
Yeah,
and there was actually like a mention of like the janitor on the show. Like I forget what the whole dialogue was, but he's like, "Well, I met a famous raccoon last spring or something." And you know what I thought of? I'm like, "Oh," I'm like,
that's fun.
because it takes place in Philly, the
Right,
show. So anyway, I thought that was like, oh, it was the Always Sunny cast was in the on that episode, which
right.
was pretty good. They were playing themselves on it. So anyway,
So where can people find us on?
so we are found wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on our socials. We are on Twitter and Blue Sky at TOTWAG. We're on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube at the One Team We Agree On. You can find us on our individual accounts as well. I'm at silly double underscore Jilly on Twitter. And Kyle's at Coach Almany on Twitter and Blue Sky. On Blue Sky, I'm at Jillian Almany. I'm very boring on there. Instagram, I'm at silly double underscore Jilly. And hearing that said on a certain podcast recently was hilarious. I'm
Yes. Anyway.
yes, that was funny. But
Uh,
anyway,
anyway. Kyle. Normally we do introductions. You've been on the show before, but for the introduction here, I want to talk about something special to you. MLS Next Pro Cup. Since we're going to be talking a lot of Union to tonight, you got to walk out the opening ceremony. So just go through that whole process of like how you found out, because the story you always have shared with us is amazing. So for people that are listening, if you want to share, I would love to hear this story again.
So it was really weird. Not really weird, but like it was kind of random.
Hmm.
So we I was invited onto a security call, like fan safety thing on Wednesday.
Hmm.
And everybody knows Tim. Thank you, Tim. Tim was there too.
mhm.
And then Thursday, it was a very quiet day, and Tim calls me. Uh, he's like, "Hey, so I just got off the phone with Next Pro. They they want you to walk the trophy out to midfield." And I was like, "Oh, that's sick." And he was like, "Yeah, they said that if you don't want to do it, they were gonna ask like Quinn Sullivan." And that in my head was like, wait a minute. So like on their list, it goes Jerk from South Jersey, Quinn Sullivan. And that in my head just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I was like, all right, I mean, it's kind of like an offer I can't refuse.
Right.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it was really cool. Obviously being on the field, like I got to watch warm-ups, you know, all the boys saw me, everybody was excited. And everybody with Next Pro was incredible, incredible people. Everybody that I met, like everyone that I saw that saw me knew who I was. They lit up like a Christmas tree when they saw me. Um, I don't know if he's the commissioner or like what his official title is, but I forget the guy's name off the top of my head. But um, before I went to the tunnel and they did whatever, I guess it's the commissioner. I talked to him a little bit. He was really nice. He talked to us. Well, he talked to me about what he liked about us. So he brought up the kazoos. I mean, he was listing off specifics of everything that we were doing that he loved. And yeah, I mean, I thanked him for the opportunity to get to do it. But yeah, I mean, it was really cool. Um, and Bernie Kamunga is a cool guy too. Very nice guy.
And that's a really cool story with him.
Mhm.
That is a really, really awesome story, with
Yeah.
his whole journey. But yeah, no, from up in the press box, it was really cool. We're like, wait a minute, is that Kyle? Oh my gosh, that's Kyle. Oh
We're up
wow.
there like, oh, go. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Let's
Well,
go.
we were being
Yeah,
professional, but
in at a professional, but
at the
inside,
same time,
but
we're
we're
just
like,
like
let's freaking go.
that
Yeah,
was that
that's
was
so
a really
cool.
cool scene just to see how you have all have evolved into the Bridge Brigade and
Hmm.
to see it take on that next level in these
Hmm.
MLS Next Pro stratosphere that we like to say because there's some really good supporter groups out there, but there's not a lot of them. And to see this one just become so grassroots and just keep growing and growing and growing is really cool to see. So that's a credit to you and everybody else doing this, man.
Hmm.
So anyway, let's talk about home opening night in Chester. I'm gonna share some pictures here. So we'll talk about a little Union FC Cincinnati showdown. So I got there around 6 o'clock. Sun was going down. This was my spot.
Yes,
Um,
for the listeners out
yes.
there, I was not at the game. I was having to watch from home because I was coaching at a swim meet. So Kyle got to do all the stuff.
So this is me walking in. I walked by. Kyle, I'm pretty sure I saw you. I was gonna walk over, but I was running late. Checked out Sons of Ben Live. It was pretty happening. And then Union Yards, everybody was kind of packed in there. So
It was pretty windy and cold
it
out at that point,
was.
right?
It was.
Yeah.
So Kyle, talk about the pregame vibes for a second. Like, what was the atmosphere like at the tailgate? How did everything go down?
Um, I mean, it honestly, I think everybody was just excited to be out again. Um, I didn't personally engage in any conversations like, hey, what do we think about, the team? Like, what do we think? It was kind of just like, oh, how's the family? Like, I was just catching up with friends. You know what I mean? And everybody was kind of like that. I think it was just kind of everybody was happy to be back. Um, but yeah, we were all packed in the building. We were trying to stay warm.
Mm,
Um, it really, I mean, you just couldn't get warm anywhere. So we were packing in. I mean, we were packing bunches trying to stay warm. But yeah, I mean, vibes were good. So yeah, you can't complain about that.
And when you got in the stadium, one thing I noticed was River End was packed. That was a really good crowd on Saturday night.
Yeah, it and there was certainly energy too. Um, and then game kind of started, died off. It was cold. I get it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, it was packed house. I didn't think it would be.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I think a lot of people are in that boat, but I didn't think it would be because of the weather. Um, but no, people showed out and it was really cool. So,
We gotta get on a touchy topic here. A lot of people on social media are talking about it, but premium seating. How's everybody feel about the premium seating?
Hmm.
Kyle?
um, I I'll be honest.
All right.
At first glance, it looks terrible.
Right.
Now, and this is me speaking on the what is it, the Commodore seating? Is that what
Yeah.
they call it? So at first glance, it looks terrible. But me and Bros, we went around and we just hung stuff up that you could see. So like it's like from the top of the railing in the river end to the
Hmm.
bottom of it, and then a little more, you can see clear.
You could.
Um, so like you up in the press box, you had a pretty good view of everything. So like we could have hung stuff from the top of the rail to the bottom of the like the flooring that
Right.
they have for the seating, and you would have been able to see it fine. It's really the concern is like the seating, like where we sit in 104, like at the very bottom with the tables, it's like there, and then down the other end, like the opposite end to the river end. That's really where you can't see.
Mm.
Um, it's definitely a new challenge, I think.
Mm.
Um, now this is something that it's probably going to be a hot take. Um, I don't mind losing railing tifo. I don't mind it. It's not something that everybody has. It's been
Mm,
nice to have, like it's cool, but I mean, more often than not, you don't see it
right.
really. Um, like obviously there's teams that do it when they can, but you know, I think just kind of how our cards were dealt, we were able to do it for so long. Now with the premium seating, we did ask if we could hang stuff off of the front, but it's covered up by the ad board, so it wouldn't make a difference anyway. Um, I did get to sit in one of the seats. It's it's comfortable. Um, I don't prefer it, but I also hate sitting down. Fun
Right.
fact, I hate sitting down. Like I need to be up and moving. So like right now, I'm struggling to sit down. I'll be honest. Like sitting here and just sitting still, like I'm struggling. But like, yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, the I mean the premium seating isn't it's not bad, but it's not good. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No, it makes perfect sense because
Yeah.
from my vantage point, we're like, I went down Thursday for the presser and I went down and looked. We weren't supposed to take pictures yet, but I went and peeked and got a peek of it. I'm like, ooh, ooh.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm just waiting for someone to get
50-50.
nailed. I'm just waiting for someone to get nailed that's sitting there. Oh my goodness. And I know like Quinn had that one shot and I was like, ooh.
Ooh. But
Yeah.
no, beyond that, I mean, I think if it was all packed and River End's packed and everybody's into it, sure, it's a good atmosphere.
Right.
Um, I think if you got a day where there's no one there and it's a blank river end, it's like, ooh, what are we doing here? You know, that then it's going to be kind of 50-50. But I mean, we'll see. I mean, they changed the field dimensions, obviously, with the new style play. You want to press all the time. I think that benefits them home field advantage. But I don't know. Uh, it's it's going to take some time to grow on me.
Yeah. I mean, it just seemed really, for me, it seemed really tone deaf putting in those seats
Yeah.
there with everything. But yeah, I'm just waiting for someone to get nailed by a ball. I mean, imagine if like Jose Martinez was still in the team and he has some errant shot, like someone's getting taken out. But um, you know, as long as people that are down there understand what it is actually going to be like, and everything, then it's whatever. But yeah,
Yeah, that or some of the comments on social media have been hilarious, but
yeah,
we'll get beyond that. But
yeah,
anyway, let's talk about the match.
yeah.
Union win 4-1. Another, I mean, crazy start, but I mean, the thing that stood out to me watching this game is just the press. I mean, this
Hmm.
the press, the connection, the switch offs, somebody brought up today. I mean, all the Union goals really have been one touch goals. There's
Yeah,
been no real dribbles, been bang, bang right in. But the other thing is, they only allowed one shot in the first half. They
yeah,
controlled the midfield, and Ty goes in with two goals at half. Could have been more, I
yeah,
feel. Mikel had that one timer that, sometimes a good keeper, I think some lower level keeper might let that slip through. You got maybe a couple more goals, and sure, FC Cincinnati's getting ready for Tigres,
hmm.
which they drew 1-1 yesterday, so I get that too.
But even so, they're a solid squad.
They are. Kyle, over these first two matches, what have you thought about the style play Carnell's brought, and what has stood out to you most about this club?
Um, I mean, you spoke on it a little bit. I think the connection between the players has been like that's really cool to see. I think the passing. I'm big on the whole like passing aspect of the game. I
Mhm.
love seeing that, and I think that's been really strong from this group to start.
Hmm.
Um, and obviously the press. I mean, it's just like it's that's the kind of thing you love to see. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's it's strong, it's in your face for 100 minutes type stuff. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it's nonstop and it's awesome. And obviously the smaller field helps that, but I mean, I hate to do this, but you kind of saw that with Union too. I mean,
Yeah.
their
You did.
press was, I mean, nonstop.
Right.
But that, like, I'm so used to seeing that like I'm seeing it now in the first team. I'm like, yeah, this is it. Like, it's almost like they're taking a page out of U2's book. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's a fair point. I think there's a lot to be said with this system now. Can they sustain it for 34 games? That remains to be seen. I think this is where the young legs really are going to play dividends down the road. We've already seen Carnell is happy to use his
Yeah,
bench.
he's not afraid to rotate, but and
Yeah.
use the bench and um that's gonna come in huge here because
So
yeah.
time's going to tell. I mean, that's the one big thing. You do bring that up, and I said that to somebody on Saturday too. I'm like, it's interesting. We saw some of this with the second team, maybe not to the frantic extent. Obviously, MLS Next Pro, first teams, two different games, but we saw that same kind of thought process.
Yeah,
And I said to him, I'm just really curious to see after 34 games plus the Open Cup how this all plays out.
right.
It really is. It's going to be interesting. And so the second half, Vander has that nice goal. Okay, credit to him. Makanya, Glesnes have that thing. And I heard you guys after that goal, the river end was really loud, and after Vander scored, it got really quiet. We're just like, oh no. And then after after Danke hit the crossbar, then everything lit up again. Everybody was chanting, and
Crossbar coming
then
in clutch
then
again.
of course everything started going back to normal. But I just thought that was funny. That was one of my random takes of the podcast was it just got really quiet. I remember saying that, and I think I even wrote that in my article. It just got dead quiet for a minute. But Ty has a hat trick. Damiani comes on, has that nice goal at the end. Everybody goes
What a
home
finish.
happy.
Oh, what a finish.
Um, outside of those two um opportunities for FC Cincinnati, one being a goal, um, I was curious what your thought on defense was from the first game and second game, but also, second question, what'd you think of Vasilev and Damiani coming on?
Um, I mean, I was really excited for Damiani.
Hmm.
He seems like a really cool guy, and he seems like a big piece that I think. I mean, obviously, you come in your first game and you score. I mean, that sets a pretty high bar for the season, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But I mean, I they said it about him. I mean, he's got a knack for scoring. Like he's got that to him. And I think that's something that we kind of need is we need a guy that you can bring in and be like, yeah, he's getting one at least. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, Vasilev looked really good too. Um, but yeah, I mean, they're both. I'm excited to see both, but I was definitely more excited to see Bruno.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely some good stuff from a small sample size so far. And I know what really stuck out to me with the game was that connection of Jovan Lukic and Danley. Like they have been really wowing me like so far. What do you say? Like
I
that's
mean, I asked Carnell that exact
yeah.
question. He says, I even said this, and Todd and I were sitting there, and Todd said to me, he goes, Jovan's been leading the attack all night. Like when he would get that ball, flick it on. And I even said it in our post game wrap up. There was a play, and Kyle, I don't know if you saw it, where he gets the ball, flicks it up, pauses it right on his foot, and then just flicks it. I think it was to Kai or somebody. Just flicks it over to him. And I'm like sitting there going, huh, I never saw that before. Like just a very in like traffic, just very controlled, just knew what he wanted to do with the ball. But There was a couple plays, and
Mhm.
I think even I hate to say it, like Jonathan Tannenwald and I were having a nice conversation on Thursday about those two as well, and we both agreed, like, just in a short sample size, having to see them work together, like,
Which is why I'm like, if Danley goes off with Haiti misses the St. Louis match, I'm gonna be like, oh no.
I'm excited for
But
uh,
but good for
Bueno
him.
on that. I want to
But
see
yes, we want to.
Bueno
I
and
know
Jovan
we want to
work
see some
together.
choo choo.
I want to see Jovan in that.
And yeah. So, and what do you think of speaking of choo choo? Because we know you're a big fan, Kyle. What do you think of choo choo's blonde hair?
I I forget what I said. I I said something about he I think it was Cabin Bueno or something like that is what I
Hmm.
said. I
Yeah.
said something like that. It's like I mean really they're all just doing it to copy him now. Frankie
Yeah.
did it.
Yep.
Kevin dyed Frankie's. I wonder if he dyed
Kevin,
Choo Choo's too.
he did. Because I think when Frankie was on the dupe with Sage, like I think Frankie mentioned that Kevin dyed his hair and then he died Choo Choo's. So I think that's yeah, I think that was
Shit.
the case. Yeah. Um but yeah, so um Kyle did ask a couple questions on the press conference and you're gonna play those clips?
Yeah, I can play
Yeah.
him real quick.
So, Makanya, we've seen tons of Makanya, with Union 2. He finally gets an opportunity with the first team. So he's been in the last two games. And
All right.
I mean, it's kind of what we expect. He actually, he's overall been pretty strong, but I think, and then there's some blunders in there and things that we've seen in the next pro level a little bit. But here's what Bradley Carnell had to say about Makanya once we get that
Once,
playing.
one,
There it is.
Talk about the job Kanye did on Denki tonight, really just limiting
Yeah,
on him.
yeah, we've done a lot of work throughout the week. We've played them in preseason. We had a good look at what Denki has to offer, and we've been watching a bit of games. So the staff's done an incredible job preparing the players, and credit to the players for taking on the information and now doing it on game day against really dangerous, tricky players. Evander, Denki, these guys are excellent players. Bordering world class and top of the league here.
All right.
I just love how he was about to say world class and then he kind of paused himself there. But
Yeah.
no, like, because I'm even
Yeah.
sitting there going, wait a minute, did you just say it? Like, they're good players, you know?
Yeah. So Kyle, what do you think of Makanya so far?
I listen, I I wasn't sure if Makanya would be ready for the step. Um, and like the first 10-ish minutes, uh, last game kind of showed like he wasn't, and then he cleaned it up like that,
Hmm.
and he hasn't switched off since. He's
No.
been great.
Hmm.
Like listen, I could sit here and talk about Frankie, but Makanya's been great.
Yeah.
He's been lights out.
You know, outside of the goal in Orlando where him and Blake got into it, you're right. He's cleaned it up. He's cleaned it up a lot. And sure, I think you and I and you as well watching him, and I said this to somebody else, he's gonna have his moments. That's the kind of player,
He's
but
still got a lot to learn, but
he
he's
does.
learning. That's the
But
thing.
there was a couple
Yeah.
times where he just cut that ball
Hmm.
like somebody would come charging in and he just make a little like deke and then he just pass it downfield. And there was a little bit more control I felt in these first two games. Then last year he'd make that cut and he'd get a little franky, a little happy feet, as I like to call it, and try and make him play out. Nothing where he seems to control it a little bit more this year. And it's something I'm very curious about.
Yeah. I was really curious about seeing how he'd do at this level now that he finally got the opportunity. Because, yeah, we've seen him, play well at Union 2, but also we saw some things like, well, that when he got sent off at the next Pro Cup, and just different things. But it has been really good to see him get this opportunity and show what he can do. And, Carnell really seems to like him. I mean, I'm sure it doesn't hurt that he's a fellow South African, right? But no, like I like that Bradley's not afraid to give these guys a shot and sink or swim here, see how they do. And he's had a lot of faith in him. And I think Makanya's been, stepping it up. And, for And we'll talk about Frankie, but like, for
Oh
all
yeah.
they notice, all the notice that Frankie's gotten, with Anya, he deserves definitely some as well here. But yeah, so and I know Kyle, you have a clip lined up too about we'll talk about Jovan and Danley there too. Did you want to play that clip?
No, we kind of talked about it already.
Okay, that's fine.
Um,
Well, let's talk about Frankie then.
yeah, no, because I said to somebody during the match, I said, it's amazing. We watched Frankie McCanya in November, MLS Next Pro Cup, and now see him on the stages. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, like how was it seeing them, you know, listen, like name that starting
4 months
lineup
ago,
and, this first team, that must have been cool. Like, you know,
it was, but Kyle, let's talk about Frankie. First 2 games. When you saw him announce the first game in Orlando City, what was going through your head?
Um, I mean, really, I just hit him and that whole family, like him and that whole
hmm
Yeah.
family deserve it.
hmm
Yeah.
He's, I mean, they all work their butts off. Rocco works his
hmm
butt off. John, um, he's great. They all put in incredible amounts of work.
hmm
Um, but for Frankie, like to finally see it pay off, obviously, like I've known Frankie longer than I've even known about Rocco and John,
Hmm.
right? I knew Frankie before I knew that John was my friend's teammate for
Mm.
football. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but like to see Frankie finally make this step, and then not only make this step, but like I mean, he's been incredible too. Um, that part's not really shocking to me, but just the fact that he's here now, like it's really cool to see. Um, and I talk to him every now and then, and he's just so excited about it. You know what I mean? He's, I mean, him and the family are ecstatic
Yeah.
still.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I know I was personally like really, really happy for him and just, getting to see him have that opportunity because we've seen him just rise up, and this trajectory he's been on. It's just been incredible to witness. Um, and, I was saying to Kyle before, I'm like, I think the players that are most ready to go have a shot, be in there, the first team, and are going to hold their own. I've said Frankie and CJ, like those two. I mean, aside from some of the guys that have already been up there, but like, it's been really amazing. And, um, Frankie, we know he's the kind of player that people can really get behind. I mean, he's already created so much buzz. So that's exciting. And it's also putting out there now you got people like debating on Reddit and this place and that place about, oh, well, what's this mean for Nate? What's this mean for Bizo? And like, are they gonna you know, have Frankie up all the time because right now he's an off roster. He has 6 appearances he can make.
It
Then
sounds like he
it
might
sounds
have
like he'll
his.
probably start on Saturday because it sounds like Nate Harriel's not 100% we heard in the press conference today. So Nate might get time, you know.
I don't think he's not Nate yet,
Yeah.
but he keeps rising to the challenge. You're going to put pressure on somebody
Mm-hmm.
like a Bizo, and
Yeah.
you're going to force a hand. And we know Carnell's a huge fan of his. So
Yeah.
I think, I've said this and I'll keep saying this. Frankie continues to rise to the occasion.
Yes.
And he's going to make me eat my words when I said when Vince was on, as much of a Frankie fan as I am, I'm curious. I'm not so 100% sure that he's ready for MLS first team. Well, so far he's making me eat my words, which
Never doubt here. Never
no,
doubt.
but at the same time, there was that we've seen that enough
Yeah.
of him throughout the last couple of years of his growth and development. So seeing him come on has been just wonderful. So, any other thoughts on the game on Saturday, Kyle?
Um, yeah, Ty Baribo is massive. That's all I got.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I mean, player of the match today, I was going to talk about that, but I'm glad you brought that up
Yeah.
because you're right. I mean,
Five
who,
goals in 2 games?
yeah, where did we saw streaks last year of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he can sustain this, what's to say somebody doesn't come knocking, or an agent, like Jose said, saying, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It just, if he can sustain this, I think this is with Damiani, with Ua, with Gazdag. I mean, you got a four-headed monster there.
Right.
Yeah. Can you believe though that like was people actually like what was on Apple TV, the crew on
Yeah.
their on Season Pass. Some of them they actually wanted to give player of the match day to Suarez though. To Luis Suarez, like what?
I mean, he had four goal contributions, but
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 I'm like, come on now. But no. Anyway, yeah, Ty's been just I mean, he got the golden boot in League's Cup, that was cool. And then um here he goes, he's still going. So um
but
amazing.
anyway, enough about Ty, and I mean, let me take it back. Moving on.
Yeah.
Let's get into the main part of the show.
Union 2.
Union 2. Um, we have some announcements to make. Some signs were
It felt
announced.
like we were just getting announcement after announcement.
Announcement.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let me share the screen here.
Yeah.
And we have a whole bunch coming up
It
here.
felt like every day, like around
Yeah.
noon, I kept finding out more things.
So,
All right.
first one we got was Oscar Benitez. Played for St. Louis City 2 last year. He is
Yep.
center back defending midfielder.
Yep. From Colombia.
Yes,
Yep.
now that I've seen him, I've
Yes.
seen him a couple times in training during the off season. He's massive,
See,
and
like 6'7".
he's really good on set pieces. He is really good on set pieces. I've heard he's one of the fastest guys on the team.
Yeah.
We got William Ferreira.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been called up with Malik at times for
Mm-hmm.
U15s.
Yeah.
And
And
then there's, of course, Kellen.
yeah, Kellen
Yeah,
Block
Glock.
getting his.
And then today, Stas
Yes, and Kyle, can you say his last name?
Korzanowski.
Yeah, good job, Kyle. Good
Yes.
job. Yeah, so it's us.
Um,
Yeah, so we just found out, and these are some. We're like, okay,
and
yeah,
then we've also seen Giovanni Sakara. Now,
yeah, okay,
nothing's official yet,
all right.
but we've
So on
seen
Gio,
Gio.
yeah, he was actually because we've been saying kind of like, and I thought about asking about, but it's like, all right,
I've
what's
asked about it too.
yeah, like we're like, okay, what's the deal with Gio because you know I saw on Transfer Market, had been listed as again being back to Union 2, and I'm like, we haven't had any official word press releases or anything. But then, Union 2 put out pictures from training today and Geo's in the pictures anyway, so we're like, okay. I'm
I
like,
mean,
okay.
I expect something to be coming up
Yeah, I would
shortly.
expect something, but he did pretty well last season. So that's good because I know they had been in talks with him when they had put the roster decisions out. So yeah, it's we had the press conference with Ryan Richter today.
Hmm.
And he talked a bit about some of the academy guys. I know you asked about Gavin Wetzel.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's play that real quick because
Um,
this is somebody I'm real
I asked about
excited about.
Oscar, what Ryan had said,
Let me
thought
just
about
play
him.
that
Yeah,
off.
so we asked a few questions there.
You did ask about
Yeah.
Oscar, and we got a
We got
couple
some
of.
clips yeah, we got all kinds of good stuff here.
Let's see, which one do I have here? This is Gavin here. Let me pull this up and let me share this. All right. And that's our screen.
There you go.
There we go. This will load.
Yeah. And of course, yeah, Gavin's a senior at YSC
See,
and he is
I didn't
committed.
ask you when we talked earlier this preseason, but Gavin Wetzel, how was he this preseason? He came on late for the second team last year. Obviously, had a big role in the playoffs. How's Gavin been?
Gavin's been great. And he's one that, I've coached Gavin since he was 11 years old. So I've kind of followed his path as a player. And to see the steps that he took last season, in the end being a starter with the second team and performing great through the playoff run that they had. And he's done great so far this preseason. And hopefully, this is a year where he can take another step forward and build on the confidence that he gained through last year.
Yeah, and he's committed to what, Pitt, I think,
He's
was it?
a bit.
Yeah.
So Kyle, I think Gavin's one I'm curious to watch. Does he eventually end up like Frankie and CJ staying with the second team? But outside his announced signings, who else are you excited for?
Um, I mean, obviously, I think immediately coming to my head, I'm really excited that Gio's back.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Um, from the start, I was a big fan of him.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Just the way that he plays, the aggression that he has, I'm a big fan of that. I'm really excited for Staz. I'm really excited to see what he can do. I've heard nothing but good things about him, and I think he's like 6'8" or something like that. Is
He
what I've
looks
heard.
Six
it.
seven, six
He
seven.
looks it.
Oh my gosh, as a middle school teacher, all years six
When you
seven.
when you
Yeah,
see him out there on the pitch with like even like a guy like
he's big.
Sal,
Yeah,
like just those two together, it's like night and day. Like that's a
pretty big.
grown man right there, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and wasn't and Oscar's pretty big too, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah, Oscar's pretty big too,
Yeah.
but I
yeah,
mean
but
like
that
Stas is
yeah,
put
he's pretty
together.
big. Yeah,
He was impressive what I've seen from him in limited training and all that stuff. So that's all I can comment on. But
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Are you gonna play the other clip?
Yeah, I can play the other clip on what Ryan's thoughts are on the season going into it and like what the expectations are now going into the regular season. Here we go.
Yeah, well, the message is, and it's been from the first day that we started, is it doesn't matter if you're 15, if you're 25, if it's a soccer tennis match, if it's a training game, or if it's a MLS Cup final. It's about trying to win the game when you're on the field. And having that mentality, creating that winning culture and that winning environment is something that we believe in helps the players to develop because ultimately where they want to get to, that's what they have to be prepared for when they step on the field. And just it's been a nice change to have 2 months of training where you're not really preparing for a match to finally have one coming up at the end of the week. I know I'm excited for it. I can see our players, they have a little extra bounce this week as they know it's time to compete. So we've been working hard, training very hard, but it's nice that we finally have a game that we can play on the weekend and kind of measure ourselves against other opponents in our league.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of shared the same thoughts with me when we chatted earlier in the preseason. But Kyle, what have you been your thoughts of Ryan Richter? I mean, we all had a good appreciation for Marlon, but it's a new era, and that's not taking anything away from him, Marlon. I mean, Ryan. But what are your thoughts on Ryan's?
I'm personally, I'm really excited to
Hmm?
see, um, what he can do. I mean, from what I've heard, it sounds like he's gonna fit in well. Um, he and in the clip he talks about that mentality that they have.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like that's something that they kind of raise those kids on. You know what I mean? Um, there was a clip that the team posted of what was it? It was like Frankie, Kevin, Quinn, and I think maybe David was in it too. They
Hmm.
were playing like foot tennis or something like that, and
Mm-hmm.
and they were going at it. I mean, they were being brutal to each other. Um, but like that, like it was something stupid that they were doing in Clearwater, but like they were taking it so serious, like that kind of mentality. Like they bring those kids up on that, and if that's kind of what Ryan's preaching, then I think it's a pretty crystal clear fit that you know he'll fit in just fine. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to see what he can do, and I'm also excited to see if he likes beer
Oh
because we're gonna have a
yes.
lot of that, I'm sure.
Mine's
Nice.
if he likes hugs.
I, you know, If he's not a beer guy, he better like hugs.
Right?
Yeah. Is the Hugs coming back this year? That's my question.
They are.
There we go. All
Got to
right.
clear the air. The
Yep.
hugs will
Yes.
be back.
We
Yes.
heard it here first, folks. But no, I mean, also you look at his staff. He's got Henry, he's got Fred, and then of course Ross is back.
Hmm.
That's a good staff. And the one thing I have really noticed, and you brought up about how they were all really attentive during Clearwater. That's the same thing you see in training. Attention to
Hmm.
detail, the communication, and just Fred, just hearing Fred and Henry every day, just drilling these guys, do this, do that, do this. And that's not to say the past that wasn't the case either, because it was. But I, talking even with like Kellen, and the one question is there pressure? And they all say, yes, there is pressure. There's pressure to get back to the cup because I think half of these guys remember what it felt like to walk out of Toyota Stadium not having the cup. And I think they want to
Hmm.
get back to that and try to win it again. So
Yeah.
that's just my 2 cents, but I think there is that pressure of we can do this again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And last year the group, really mentioned so many times about how together they were, like how they had such a great locker room, and
yeah,
I see that still, they really
even
seem to be
yes,
very cohesive. So, and they seem pretty hungry for, getting back to that and winning it all. And I know Kyle, you talked to Callan and Jameer and Jordan at training.
yeah.
So yeah, you can play some clips
I
from that.
don't. I'm looking for that clip. I think I have it somewhere, but
Yeah, you got some different things
I
here.
do have it right here. All
Yes.
right, let me pull that up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So
yeah, I
you
was
talked
able
to
to
them. Yeah.
talk to them, and this is we were talking about the CONCACAF um, qualifiers, but I asked them about their mentality heading into the season here. So as soon as this boots up, hopefully we
Yeah, because they had really big
yeah.
I
performances
made the
there.
MLS Next Pro Finals. Do you guys feel any pressure as players to try to maybe lift the cup this year, so to speak?
Yeah, our goal here at the Union is always to win, so that's going to be our goal in mind, and obviously we're going to do whatever we can to reach that.
Yeah, well, I agree exactly what Tom said.
Yeah. Talk about Ryan Richter as a coach. What's his message been to you guys throughout training, and anything that you've learned from him?
Yeah, I was for me and Jordan. He was our coach back in U12.
Yep.
And then I think all three of us in like our U15 year, so we know him pretty well. He's a really intense coach and pushes the standards, which is really good. So I think it'll be really good for us to see.
I mean, he really just wants us to express ourselves. Even though we're young, he still just wants us to go out there and play the way we know how to play.
Yeah, back to what Jordan Kellen said, I've had him as a younger player. He encourages us just to demand we work as hard as we can every day.
Yeah, and if people listening had any hard time hearing that, it is really worth noting that, they go way back with Ryan Richter. Like he's been part of their development before, so
With a
he
lot of
knows
those
them.
guys.
Yeah, with a lot of them. So I think that is going to help them, big time here too. It's not like a coach that's coming in and doesn't know them at all. So they already have that relationship there for
No,
sure.
and it was interesting. You talk about growth. Just seeing interviewing Kellen and Jameer from last year to this year, Kyle, it's night and day, man.
Interviewing a lot
It
better.
just like talking to them, they've gotten so much better.
And
And
and speaking of that, I have to appreciate the fact that like on his press conference today, Ryan Richter kind of led off with thanking, everyone for covering Union
yeah,
2 and saying like, you know, appreciates that, and that these guys, the players also need to learn about how to deal with all
yeah.
this too. Like,
And that's the great part with these stories. Like I've said to a
mhm.
couple people, that's why we really love covering these teams. It's the Frankie Westfields, the CJs, the Andrew Ricks,
Yeah,
to
like
see these stories kind of
right.
blossom out
Right. For
like
instance,
they do.
yeah, like us having Frankie on our pod last season, and then he was on watching him on the Dupe with Sage was interesting because, you know, seeing how he'd open up there then as well. And I know Frankie mentioned that, I think one of the questions was who should they have on the dupe next, and I think he said Eddie, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, they need to get Eddie on there
They do.
for sure. That'd be interesting.
So, Kyle, before we wrap this up, any exciting things you can share that the Bridge Brigade are going to be rolling out this year?
Um, I don't know. We're working on a scarf. We're
Okay.
finally working. Well, I mean, we've been working on a scarf, but like now
Hmm.
it's actually like we have a design and we've sent it off to someone to see if they want to do it. Um, but it's finally going into motion and I'm really excited.
Yeah, by the way, I have a question. Did you get a chance to go to the Soccer Hall of Fame when you were down in Frisco?
We did not.
Oh, so you can actually design a scarf there, which was cool. We were having some fun with that. Like,
Yeah, we were.
we made like a Union 2 scarf when we were there too. We didn't like actually like get it made, but you can do that, which is pretty cool. So,
Yeah, you can do like some wild things there, and
yeah.
like we were gonna do like some fun
Oh,
design. Yeah, there's some designs that during the
we'll
climate.
share with you sometime.
Yes, we'll share with you all off camera,
Yeah.
but some of the designs were pretty funny given the
Yeah.
climate of the fan base at that time.
Right.
But anyway, having said that, what are you looking forward to most this year from the second team?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I'm just looking forward to more wins. I'm
Mhm.
looking forward to getting back to the final.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to the journeys, what stories come out of it,
Yeah. There's so many
who
great stories.
rise, you
Yeah.
know, who is the next Frankie, who's the next CJ. That's what I'm most excited for. But before we get to that, back to first team Union or New England.
And Union 2 or New England. It's
Yep,
a double feature
double
this weekend.
feature this weekend.
Yeah.
Union 7 wins, 5 losses, 5 draws all time in Gillette Stadium. Last year they won 3-0 behind a Gazdag brace, and Julian Carranza scored a goal in that game. That was also
Yes.
the game where they were up a man for most of the game
Right. That's right.
during the drags of May when when the first team couldn't even win a game. But having said that, Kyle, what are you looking forward to seeing from the first team this week? What are you looking forward to seeing them do against the refs?
Uh, well, I'm expecting Ty Baribo to score again.
All right.
Hmm.
Um, I'd really like to see Choo Choo play. Will he? Probably not. But I would like to see it. I think I would I personally would like to see how he fits into this group and kind of how they've been playing. Um, Now Bradley Carnell is probably not going to hear me say that and think, "Oh, maybe I should listen to him." Uh, because I mean, he gets paid to do it, so
Mhm.
I hope he doesn't listen to me. Um, but yeah, I mean, if Frankie does play again, then I that's a win in my book, I think.
Hmm.
Um, I'm really hoping that if Frankie plays, he scores. I'm really hoping he gets one.
That would be amazing.
Really would.
Yeah. I mean, it's so awesome that he already has an assist too. Like, that
Yeah.
was awesome.
No, I think for me, I'm curious to see how the Union do on turf.
Yeah, they
This,
were practicing on turf too. I saw that
yeah,
they were practicing on
I'm
turf.
curious to see what that iteration of this attack looks like. I'm also
Hmm.
curious to see, which is it? Is it more the defense, where like Carnell talked
Hmm.
about against Orlando, that maybe wasn't all there, or was it more of the lockdown they saw against Cincinnati? I mean, those are the two things I'm looking at because the attack's going to be there all year. I'm not worried about the attack. I'm more worried about the defense.
Hmm.
So we'll see.
Yeah. And as far as Union 2 goes, look forward to that. And I'm
I'm so
sure
curious to see what the starting 11 is.
that will be interesting.
I am so curious to see
And
what the
for the
starting
people out
11
there,
is.
I'm going to be putting out an article about Union 2, before hopefully tomorrow at some point. But
Yeah.
are there a bunch of guys going up with you, Kyle, for um for this weekend?
Uh, Evan is flying from school to Boston.
Hmm.
Nice.
Uh, Ant is actually driving to my house right now. He's gonna stay the night, and then we're gonna go pick up Evan from the airport tomorrow when we get into Boston. Other than that, I don't know of anybody that's going to the Union 2 game.
I did hear of some people like on Twitter that mentioned that they're going to both games since they'll be up there for the first team. They're going to go to the second team. So I do know of a couple people that will be there. But I'm sure no matter what, we'll hear you guys because it doesn't matter, if there's only a few of you, we'll hear you and love that. So I'm
Well,
sure and I know the team loves that. So
they do. I mean, Frankie even say they got off the bus, and the first thing they hear is you guys on when he was on the Duke. That was cool. That was really
yeah,
cool.
yeah, he did mention that. So looking forward to that and hopefully it is a very winning weekend.
Yeah, and it's just great to get back to Union 2. And again, like I said, it's covering the story.
Yeah.
So,
And then home opener on St. Patrick's Day, a
which
Monday night game, which is really random, but
you will be there.
I will be there. And I feel like I think the season home opener wasn't it right around St. Patrick's Day last year too? Yeah,
It
so
was St. Patrick's Day last year.
that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. So, well, that should be fun. Hopefully people turn out. I know it's rough it being on a Monday night, but yeah, hopefully people turn up because the growth of the fan support was really great to see last season.
It really, really was, and we hope to keep seeing that. So,
Yep.
anyway, Kyle, as always, thank you so much for coming on again. Good to have you on again, and hopefully we'll get you on during the season some point, talk some more Union too. But where can people find you at?
I'm on Instagram and Twitter, or sorry, X. I'm
It's
on
okay. I don't call
Instagram
it
and
X.
I I I can't I
Yeah,
can't
Can't do it.
can't get it.
No,
It's
I got you.
I'm on Facebook too, but I don't really use it.
Yeah.
Um I only have a Facebook just so I could play games. Um Honestly. I have Blue Sky too. I don't really use that either.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get more into it. Um but what's it called? Um yeah, did I get it all? I think I got it all. We're good. I got it all.
there you go. Um, well, yeah, we got a few more articles coming out. Your preview. I'm doing a match recap,
Yeah.
preview and recap of the first team game.
And hopefully we're gonna have some guests lined up coming up soon and
Yep. Some exciting things there, so
some
stay
very exciting
tuned.
things, hopefully.
Oh yeah. And so this has been an all new episode for the one team we agree on.
Yeah, make sure to like and subscribe and leave us comments because we love hearing from you. We appreciate everyone who's been interacting with us. And yeah, so make sure you check us out on our various socials as well and let us know what you think.
Until next time, I'm Kyle.
I'm Jillian.
See you at the game.